You okay? But anyway, we back. We back. Oh my goodness! All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what's going to happen? We'd actually have a real. This is real talk live. With Rodney Grimes, people, part of Power Positive people. The program got interrupted. So what's going to happen is that it's going to be split, and those are things that things happen. Yes. Okay. So my guest today is Paul Randall. As you know, that we try to bring in people to make things happen, and we like to encourage people about moving forward. So everybody that was joined in before, please come on back, hit share, hit like, and you're going to have to reiterate some of that, because that what you was talking about was real positive, powerful. And so now that we're actually, when it got interrupted, it's going to be like a whole new segment. Okay. So this is part of the reason why we are trying to get a different location, so that things like this don't happen, because it's just part of the process. Yes. So, but anyway, so you would just kind of reiterate some of the things that you talked about. You was talking about people being in position, yes, people taking responsibility for their actions to make people accountable, right, for their positions in which we put them in. Right. And we're talking about the fact that we as a people, we got to make the changes. Right. Okay, it's not, we can't wait for everybody that's already in those positions to make the changes. We have to make the changes and demand that they do so by their position, because we put them there. Right. So they work for us, exactly, then instead of us working for them. Right,
exactly. Because they're public servants, and they come to serve. Just like Jesus said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve. So the servant, you have a butler, a waiter, whatever, they serving you. How may I help you? How can I take your order? And that's what politicians, governors, police officers, they're public servants. And they have to act accordingly. So that particular aspect has been lost. Prior to this, police officers would walk around saying, in years past, they were called officer friendly. And they would check, they would know the family. And I think in terms of policing, once they know you, when you're in a relationship with a person, we use this in sales, it's more difficult for that person to say no to you or reject you, because you develop a relationship with them. So the same thing needs to occur again with our law enforcement. They're so busy treating us as terrorists, as it were, and criminals, they forgot the humanity. Behind these clothes is a human being. We're still human. So just because a child does something wrong doesn't define that child. They made an accident or did something on purpose. That's one moment in their history. That doesn't define you. You could be a stripper or whatever. That moment doesn't define you. Mary Magdalene was a harlot, okay? But guess what? In Jesus' lineage, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, was a harlot. He didn't leave that out. That's in there. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Come on, man.
Better is the end of a thing than the beginning. When you start a business, it's going to be difficult. When you have a child, just had a friend, she just gave birth Sunday. The end is better than the beginning. Those 9 months, and the women that you know who carried a child, I never had one, but you know how difficult those 9 months were. But after it's delivered, like he said, it's joy, because you delivered that baby. But better is the end of a thing than the beginning. So going in, when you start something, there may be a level of difficulty. But if you persist to the end, you'll get rewarded. It reminds me of a story of this guy who was digging for gold for some years. And so then he finally decided to give up. And then he sold it. The person who bought it dug 1 foot and struck gold. So my thing and my encouragement to people, when you think about giving up, take a rest, take a break, take a breather, but don't give up. And Winston Churchill said, never, ever, ever give up. So with that, you keep moving forward. Change will come in our society, one person at a time. Michael Jackson say, start with the man in the mirror.
Yes.
The man, if everybody take that, just what can I do? What acts of kindness can I do today? And if we have that thought every day, who have I helped today? Even if you're at home, you can post something on Instagram that's positive and not go and try to criticize or attack someone on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media you have, Twitter, think before you act. Someone send you a negative text messages, I always tell people do the 24-hour test. You know, wait 24 hours, then respond to them.
Yeah.
You know, because in the moment you might be heated, something they said that was inflammatory, wait for it.
You know, and I'm glad you said that. That's one of the things. Now we're talking about how you start and how you end, and I have to take the opportunity because with everything that we do and everything we are trying to do with this program, it has been a journey. But I know in the end it's going to be something that's going to be very, very powerful, and it's going to bless us all. And so I constantly hear little negative things here and there, and I'll be like saying, you know what, don't feed into it. And I like what you said, rest on it.
Yes.
And I'm going to take that too. I'm going to take that. That's going to be one of my things, because that's one of the things that I have to do just when I'm trying to do my part. You know, and that's what all of us, we have to do our part, as you were speaking. We have to, when we put a person in office, I don't care whether it's the pastor of the church.
Right.
Really, the pastor of the church don't run the church, the people do.
Right.
And I say the church, but the building.
Right.
You know what I mean? The congregation. When you talk about, it could be a whole bunch of people in a house,
right.
but who running?
Right.
It's the mom and daddy,
right.
or the head person that's in
right.
there paying the bills.
Right.
And in order for things to go well, you know, it's almost like this. If everybody go in the kitchen and don't wash their dishes, you get a whole sink full of garbage.
Right.
But if everybody wash their plate and their fork and spoon, man, you got a clean kitchen.
It's interesting you said that. My father used to say that. He said you got to wash. If you wash your own, then it wouldn't be a problem.
Come on.
Interesting enough, you just do your part.
Just do your part.
Do your part. And so if the pastor, he's the head, but we're all a part of the body.
Yes.
The body of Christ. Each one's a hand, one's a foot, one's an eye. I can't say to the foot, I have no need of you. So any part of your body, if you wake up and you're missing a hand, a foot, or eye, a finger, you're not, 100% you like you normally are.
It throws you off.
Yeah, so those things are essential. Like if you get a cold or something happens to your eye, you see how important and invaluable those parts are.
Okay, we're going to go to the board a little bit. It says, Bernard Jackson said, who represents the community as community organizer? Quite right now, I can't tell you who represents the community. All I can say is that I am doing my part. That's what I can tell you. I am reaching out, as I talked about, and I know that the program got interrupted, so I may have to have her to put the picture of the Elks home back up there and I'll talk about that again. But let me say this, because of that situation that we brought to the forefront, I am just trying to be responsible. Like you said, your father said, if you just do your part in the kitchen, you wash your dishes,
right.
You ain't got to worry. And if everybody, dude, that's why I love you, man. I'm trying to tell you, man, you can make it so simple.
Well, my pastor, he would always tell us, not I have to say David T.P. Perrin, Church of Great Commission, he would always say, make it so plain that a 5-year-old can understand. And once you conceptualize, and I actually taught K4 and work with, I used to do summer camp every year, you can understand that by working with them because you speak on that, and Jesus, he spoke for the everyday man. He didn't speak above them. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you reach your audience, but try to make it plain and have something. He spoke in parables, and that was actual things that people could relate to. There was a certain man, there was a certain beggar or whatever. People could relate to that. When he talked about, when he told the disciples not to take a script. Now, in our minds, the minute you think about a script, you think about what? Like something that an actor or actress would do.
Right.
A script was actually something where they would keep food or whatnot in it. That's what a script was. And we think about the eye of a needle. We're thinking the needle that we thread. Actually, a needle was actually like a fence where a camel or something can go through rather than a camel. He says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the heaven. So those pictures for people during that time, they understood. So he spoke in common everyday language that people can understand.
Yes.
Because if I don't understand it, if I use the word pontificate, you might understand it, but then these 10 other people miss it. What was the purpose?
Because can you tell me what
Pontificate.
Pontificate.
It's like, let's say how I could use it in everyday slang. Faking the funk or whatever.
Okay, because you just said the word.
And see, that's what I'm for. It's like, you're not edified if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So and Paul would talk about it. He knew he was very versed, Greek and Hebrew, and but he would use words that you can understand. So if my audience is is the age of 5 years old, I have no need to use big words because I'm a loser.
Yeah.
Same thing with people. You have to know your audience. If I'm in that crowd with a lot of intellectuals, then I would use that so they can understand and it'll help them for whatever reason. But Paul said, whatever audience, I become all things to all men that I might gain the more. So you have to understand your audience, who you're speaking to. And you never want to speak above a person, because that only pumps you up and it takes them lower.
Yes.
So now you just lost them as a person, because
Yeah.
now they feel less than. So he tells us to condescend or go low to men of lower state. And he tells us not to be high-minded, because, that person, or you could be there anytime, and that's what he did. He came down, though he were a king, he became as his subject. So I look at that, before he even died on the cross, the great humility and the pain was leaving all his glory and coming down here to be like one of us. Give you an example. That's like you becoming a rat to save the whole nation of rats. Can you imagine that? Living like a rat for 33 and a half years.
Oh my God. Ooh,
now he left his glory. He left everything to be born of a woman. This before the cross, all what he had to go through before getting there. So people don't understand the cost of what you call success or whatever. I want to be like this person. I want to be a Bishop Jakes or whatever. But what's the cost? What do these people have to go through to get to what they got?
Actually, I've had the opportunity to be in the presence of T.D. Jakes, and when you said that, and I admire this man. And he was telling me, see, some of the things that you're saying, it just make you think. He was sitting at the table eating, and I was in the room with him as well with some other people, and he was talking about how he started his ministry. He said he started in this little cabin down there.
I love that story. I love that. It's amazing that you remember it. People will see him, but when he walked in the building, not to steal your thunder, he walked in and he fell through the baseboard of the church. And the other people looking at it as, in disdain, and he was like, I love it. Because for him, that was his vision. To him, to other people, they may saw a broken down church. To him, he saw something else.
Yeah.
And he kept with it, and then he did the woman dark loose. He invested the last little bit amount of money he had, or what he had saved up. And he said, I remember he saying, the Lord told him a fool want to invest in himself, so he went out, and then he did woman dark loose. People have different things to say about different people, but I always like to see where people came from. Tony Evans, the list goes on. These people started in homes. Look at AOL right now. I'm sorry, Amazon.
Yes.
Jeff Bezos. I mean, he took something and he continued to work at it, and now look at it now.
And that's what. Let me take that opportunity to tell you that people to people, power to power, positive thing, people, real talk loud with Rodney Grimes. That's what's happening. I started a little process here, but it started way before, and I see the big vision, and I know where we're going with this, and I'm just so excited because a lot of people are looking. I talked to somebody the other day, and this is what they said. They said, "Yeah, don't you stop doing what you're doing," because there's a lot of people saying, "Man, I ain't investing in that guy. Who Rodney think he is?" Blah blah blah. I say this because some people bring this to me, right? And I sat back in there, and I'm human, so while I'm sitting on the toilet or sitting eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'll be thinking about something that somebody told me, and I started thinking. I said, "Oh man, am I wasting my time?" Sometimes I used to ask my wife. I say, "Baby, do you think they laughing at me?" I asked her that. I said, "You think they laughing at me for what I'm doing?" And she'd look at me and she'd say, "Nah, you doing what you're supposed to do because God put it in my spirit to do this, right?" And so I said that to say that all of us, we have our journey, but the thing is that our journey is for all of us together, one way or the other. And that's what when we were speaking about T.D. when he was explaining some of the things he had dealt with, one of the things that I was so impressed is that he didn't know where he was going, he just was being obedient.
Right. Just like Abraham.
Yeah, so he didn't know he was going to have a large following like this.
Right.
He never even thought that.
Right.
But what he was doing was being obedient.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing as well. And you always been that type of brother, being obedient by sharing knowledge and embracing people, and you know, and that's a real powerful thing. Zena, you may have to put the picture back up there with the Elks home up there, because I know we lost it. We lost quite a few people who was tuned in. And let me tell you something. The devil is real. See, when we are moving forward to be on a positive note, negativity will fall in. And that's where you have to do your part.
Yes.
You don't give in to it.
Right.
So you said, like, say if somebody said something bad about you. If you jump right in there, you mess around and become just as bad as them.
Right. Right.
But if you think about it, and you said, like, sleep on it for 24 hours, you roll over in the morning and say, I ain't paying no attention to what they said, because it's not that important.
Right.
I had to put the picture of the Elks home back up here because the program got interrupted. Something happened, and God is good, and I just give him glory and praise. And we said this in the early part, that we are taking responsibility to refurbish this building. And we're reaching out to all the individuals, everybody that stepped their foot in that place, everybody that's had some kind of program there or anything. We need to take care of this place. This is our history. And so Zena and myself, we have committed to one room so far that we are going to start this Saturday. We'll be there no later than noon to start to refurbish this one room. I'm taking that on because this is me being that person who's I'm going to lead by example, not by just my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do that. And so I just wanted her to put that back up there. If you also put Harold's picture back up there real quick. And so, you know, I can let people know that we are really serious about this, and we're asking for your support. We're putting a petition together about this. And another reason why I'm reiterating this, because something that you said earlier, when you was talking about teeth falling on the floor, and if we don't wipe it up, you know, it's just there. But when we do something about it, we can change that.
Yes. Yes.
The picture that you see now is Harold Hughes. He's the overseer. He's the head large member there, and I'm excited to be in his presence, to be able to work with him. And I made some commitments to him that I'm going to follow through. And as my very dear friend Paul was talking about earlier, when we put people in position, we hold them accountable. But when we put them in a position, it's up to us to do our part.
Right, right.
So, hey, babe, you can remove that now. But I just wanted to put that back out there because I think that we lost it from the interruption. So everybody that tuned in, it's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, power to thinking people. This, and you know what? If anything, I really, really consider him a dear friend of mine after just little conversation that we have had. This is Mr. Paul Randall. I'm gonna tell you, this brother here, he's a smooth gentleman. You can walk in the room, and I don't care who in there, he lights up the place, just with your energy and your hospitality, and how you treat people.
Likewise for yourself and your wife.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, and if a lot of us continuously do this,
yes,
we don't have to see each other for months, yes, years. And as soon as we see each other, it's like it was just yesterday, yes, you know. Yes. And I just admire you, man. I really do.
Thank you.
I think yeah. I also you giving us all this knowledge. You got any other things that's working? Any projects you got?
Basically, yes. We actually joined a reality show.
Okay.
A positive, not what you see like with a lot of the reality shows you see on television with the fighting and things like that. It's actually a positive show about men and watching them do what they do, African American men at that. So
my man.
It's the first of its kind, and I've been waiting. It's been in the works for actually 2 years. So this is something, you know, and then other things that come, other projects as well. But it's something that, you know, just need to be put out there as it relates to showing us in a positive light. Mm-hmm. We have enough with the negative, you know, the rap and the violence and different things. Not saying rap is bad in certain aspects, but how we've been portrayed throughout the years. Cosby, I love the show, and then the different world, and it showed us we've seen enough of what the hood is like.
Yeah.
We know the hood.
Yeah.
We could write several books on the hood.
Yeah.
We know about all the language and whatnot, which I'm glad you asked, because it's segued me into something I wanted to speak upon. These challenges, we see so many challenges. We have the busted challenge for the ladies. Now they got the silhouette challenge. These things are just taking us back. If Martin Luther King was to show up today, what would he say and what he saw? So it's taking us backwards, and it's demoralizing our women. And everyone's just so eager to jump on the bandwagon and just, what about the young girls who are watching this?
Yeah.
What are we saying? So when you put that out there, what are you actually saying to your daughter?
Yeah.
To say it's okay to do that. So let me share with you from a male's perspective what it does. Maybe women don't understand. When a man sees a woman doing certain things, it calls a response or reaction in him. So as a result, it's not just a suggestion. For example, if I ball up my fist and I'm coming at Rodney right there, you know what's taking place. That's an angry situation. You know, I'm not being happy. And the same response, whatever reaction you get, for every negative reaction, there's another negative reaction. Right. So you putting something out there is actually alluring to the young men, older men. And when you, guess what? God made us, let me give this to you, it's so important. He made men in such a way that when he sees a woman, her body being naked, there's a response. He made it as such by design.
Yeah.
Because imagine if Rodney was to go in the bedroom with his wife and see her naked and there's no feeling. He's turned off. There would be no people here to populate the earth. So it's by design that the female anatomy is attracted to a man.
Yeah.
And as a result, that's how God keeps the population going. So when you say, what is he looking at? If your anatomy is being displayed, if your breast is out, whatever is being shown, he's acting in the nature God has created. Not putting the lights for the man to be looking all the time. I'm not saying that.
Right.
What I am saying, if you're exposed, if 50% of your body is exposed, then therefore you will get a reaction.
And you know, I love you, dude. I'm telling you. So I try to tell people, let me tell you something. Sometimes people, we want to point the finger and talk about us, who we are and what we are. But God designed us, like you said. And the way he designed us, you got to realize something. We're just like the lion, tigers, and bears, the monkeys, the birds, and the bees. You know, what happened? The male seeks the female.
Right.
The female lures the male.
Right. Exactly.
And in all assets, yeah, and even what happened? A lion will eat you. But if it come down to it and we real hungry, we'll eat the lion.
Right.
So it's no different.
Right. And that's important because you said allure, and that's what's even in nature. It's what you call a mating call. So when you're doing these things, you're busting it, you're doing the silhouette, that's actually a mating call for me to come into you.
Yeah.
So it's actually, and the Bible talks about not to defraud one another. You're defrauding that person because you're giving them, it's like false advertising.
Right.
You know, if I put this up and say this is for sale, but then you come in and I say it's not for sale, that's false advertising. So you're projecting something, saying I'm available, and then at the same time you wonder why the men are looking, they act a certain way. They're acting according to nature as it relates to, you just revealed a part of you that should have never been revealed. Muhammad Ali said something to his daughter, and I want to quote it right. I don't want to mistreat the quote. It's such an excellent quote. And he was speaking to his daughter, and he was telling about a story about how a diamond is formed. And he said how it's shaped in the cold and hidden in darkness. He said, it's difficult to find a rare gem. He said the same thing about you and your sexuality. It's rare. It shouldn't be something that's given away because it's so valuable. So anything is valuable is typically covered. Because where are diamonds? They're in the earth. You have to dig to find them.
Yes.
So anything worth value is covered. Even a hymen that's covered. So when a woman does break her virginity, there's blood, there's a covenant that takes place. So that's covered. So as a result, anything that's valuable is keep hidden. So that's why it's called undergarments, because it's supposed to be under. So this society, we have a highly sexual society. It's so open now. God help the children that's coming up now because of social media.
Yeah, it's gone.
And
it's gone crazy.
It's very sensationalized and sensual from commercials to, you can't turn a corner without seeing. And for men, it's a different response than for women. Because we're visual, we're very visual. And we're moved by that. That's why we can remember places when we're driving in a car, because by design of God, one is not better than the other. Men are different than women. So by design, we have to, because we are the seers, we're the leaders as it's been created. So as a result, men are very visual. Women are romanticized in their minds. So that's why Harlequin romances or novels appeal to women. Whereas with men, it might be porn or other things, which is still not good. I'm not promoting that. But what I am saying is, when you're doing these challenges, we need some positive challenges. You know, not just how about how to get six-figure challenge, how to get out of debt, increase my credit. But we migrate to a lot of base things that just brings us down. This is 2021, you know. So I'm shocked to see a lot of the actors and actors, they just join in. So therefore, you have a following of young people following behind. So I always say, when you leave this world, you want to leave a legacy behind. What will your legacy be? What they remember you by? That you dressed real good, you had the Louis Vuitton, you had the latest and the greatest, you kept your hair done. What do you mean? You twerk the best? What is your legacy? Leave something that's bigger and lasts longer than you. You know, we have people who left many great things. Martin Luther King. The list goes on.
He'll be talked about for eternity.
Right, because he did something. Now watch this. Martin Luther King wasn't the richest man. He wasn't even very wealthy.
Right. He wasn't.
But he left a legacy.
Yes.
So it's not success. It's not defined by how much you make. That's financial success. That's a part of success. You could be a financial giant, but a spiritual, family failure, emotionally. You could be financially secure, but emotionally bankrupt. And what people need, if we were children, I always like to use this example, we enjoyed the time we spent with our friends. Christmas time came around, we got whatever. It wasn't just what we got, it was the time, the memories that we shared, going out, playing, or doing whatever. So we do more of things instead of engaging in human beings. We're being. So you remember that person and the time. You can give kids whatever, but all they want is their mother, their father's time. So oftentimes you see those with wealth, and wealth is a great thing in balance and perspective. So God doesn't have you have a problem with you having money. You have a problem with money having you.
Let me say something that you said. So you said, first of all, this says success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached, but as by the obstacle which one has overcome while trying to succeed.
Yes, that's like the journey is just as well as the destination. Getting to California is fun seeing and seeing the sights as you get there. So the destination, the journey is just as important as that and what you get through that. And I'm not knocking anyone who's successful. I commend you. And I don't believe in tearing people down who reached that level because you did something that's outstanding. And going to the parable of talents, even God would say the same thing, because the one with one buried it, the one with the two doubled it, and the one with the five doubled theirs. And the talent was to be noted like around $73,000, $76,000. Can you imagine somebody taking $76,000 and burying it? So take what you have and do more. I believe in capitalism, people. If you made that money, you have every right to do whatever and do any tax breaks that's given you because you've earned it. And then you employed other people behind you. But let everything be done in moderation and in balance in terms of once you have it, he gives you responsibility. Don't forget the poor, don't forget those, and to help others and take them up to as much as possible. But yeah, being successful as a person, personality-wise, being patient, the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and meekness. Against such there's no law. So those things are key. That's every day. When I come in contact with people, my attributes, my humanistic things and how I treat my morals, and even dealing with our political figures, those things are important. Money is not an end. It's a tool. Money is a tool. So that's very important.
Lord, get out of my head. Thank you for sharing. What's that? and unadulterated truth.
Gerald P. McCoy.
That's my man.
The real McCoy.
Yeah. Let me say that God is good, and this is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. For everybody who just joined in, this is my guest, Mr. Paul Randall. This brother here is a book of knowledge. He should have a label on him that asks me something, because he got something for you.
That's a shirt.
Yeah, you know, and I appreciate you. It says, Brenda says, Paul, you have lots of wisdom in you, and great just to sit here and listen to you.
Thank you, Brenda.
God is good. You know, what we want is for us, something else that you said earlier also, you were saying about, you know, if a person is kind, that's all it takes is you to be responsible for yourself being kind, right?
Yes.
And so that's how we treat each other.
Yes.
You know, as a man, I remember when I wore a pink shirt, a certain person would say something slick to me, right?
Yes.
But as a man, I'm confident in who I am. Right? As a man, I'm confident in telling you how much I respect you and love you for you being the positive person that you are.
Likewise.
And so what we have to do, we have to be examples.
Yeah.
See, one thing I know I ain't gonna never see. I'm never gonna see you walking around with your pants hanging below your waist.
No.
I'm never gonna see you cussing and using profanity at a female.
No.
I'm never gonna see you standing and yelling in the street.
Yeah.
See, you're an example for me.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying?
And using me.
And
Exactly.
see,
yes.
and when we collectively do this, we create these things and we come together.
Yes.
If people wonder why the children are all confused and upset and out of control, it's because we have allowed them to see these things.
Yes. Spirit of the leader, spirit of the team.
Yeah. And so we allowed them to get into this, and we got babies having babies.
Yes.
You know, we got babies raising babies.
Exactly.
And then we got babies raising themselves.
Right.
Where are we in our position to take on the responsibility as the leaders? And what we have to do with our children, we have to start to instill these conversations with them right now. Because a 5-year-old, believe it or not, a 5-year-old can sit down and have a really serious conversation with you to tell you that that's fire and it's hot.
Right.
And they ain't never burned themselves before.
Right.
But they have that common sense at 5 years old.
Yes.
And so if you start to embed these positive things in them, what do? We create some positive.
Yes, and that's
positive leaders for our future.
That's what we want. We want to duplicate. The next generation should be better than the former generation. So we're standing on the shoulders of those who've gone before us. And this Black History, as they know, Black History Month, but I saw a quote, it's Black History Year. Black history is being made every day.
Yes.
And if you follow me on my Instagram page, you'll see all the posts that I'll be posting each day of the inventors that have invented things. We've dominated in many areas of music and in terms of sports and what have you. And I was at the African American Museum, but what I didn't see is in the area of business. Black Wall Street, that's my favorite. The most affluent black neighborhood in America, if not the world at the time. And the most affluent doctor was there, who was black. There were about 40 grocery stores, 30 restaurants. There were, I think, 6 to 10 movie theaters. This is before Magic Johnson movie theaters, in the 1920s in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And even the Gap Band, the name Gap Band came from what they were saying, you dropped a bomb on me, because it was bombed from the air. And we had our own banking system. The dollar went around. We were always told, and I want everyone to take that out of their psyche, their vernacular. By this time next year, you'll be good if you practice it. We're told we can't keep money in our community, which is not true. Black Wall Street, the dollar went around 10 times, sometimes 100 times before it left the community. So even then, we had a bank system that equivalent today, I think, hundreds of millions at the time, and we had 6 private jets and our own bus system. In 1920, imagine where we would be today had it not bombed that. Because, this is before Safeway, this is before Giant, as it were. Imagine where we'd be. So I never look and say, we can't. I don't talk bad about the church or people. I just know what we can do.
Because it's been done before.
Yes, and it was another place called Greenwood. So it's not like we haven't. As you look at the different inventions, now I challenge everyone to just go look it up. You can put it up on Instagram, just put in Black Inventions, Facebook, Google. You will see what we have contributed to society, but we were never taught this in school. So what does that do? When I found out about Black Wall Street, it changed my life. Because now I knew that the dollar went around. I didn't look at the negative part of them bombing it. What I did see is what we did. I was like, I was never told we did this. So my esteem went up higher because we always look to our white counterparts and look at them to say they're the only ones who can do this. Only a white lawyer or a white business person. Get that out, because that's programming and conditioning. And you know, my Bible says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it's nothing we can't do if we put our mind to it. So with that, I would say, you know, as we begin to celebrate, not just this month, but every day going forward.
Come on,
and celebrate others. And women, I would like to say, I've heard it, you know, fix each other's crown. If you see it crooked, fix it. Don't talk about it. Yeah. Don't. And I would that these, you know, shows, you know, and a lot of producers are African American. It makes us look like pawns. We're fighting each other. Right. And we should be building and not destroying. So
I'm glad you said that, because that was something I wanted to bring up, that I wanted you to speak on. I'm telling you, brother, we connected. Because I was wanting to get that in. Talking about your poly that you're talking about doing, that's going to be positive. It's going to be showing black men in a positive way. Yes. And there ain't going to be no fighting and cussing and drugs, because I know the type of people that you deal with. Exactly. But look at the things that have been projected over the past few years with these reality shows, and how people are fighting and throwing wine and cussing and calling each other names publicly. Yes. I mean, and this shown on television, and now we got people going around mimicking these things as if this is the way we're supposed to act. And that's not how and who we are.
No. And with that, it sends this it's a reaction, and you have all these little disciples that you created. Negative marriages have been destroyed behind these shows. You know, relationships have been destroyed. And over, many who have done these reality shows, their relationship has been destroyed for the sake of fame. Fame comes with a cost. Yeah. If you want to be famous, it comes with a cost. Give you an example, Michael Jackson. You can be famous, but his privacy was given up. He couldn't go out in public like he wanted to and do things that the average person could do. So you want to be famous, there comes a cost, but don't sell your soul for it. Keep your integrity, maintain it. One of the ladies, she played in the Black Panther as the mother, Angela Bassett. Yeah. I like Angela Bassett. She kept it. I've not seen her nude in any scenes. She maintained her integrity. Chadwick Boseman, I want to give him a shout out. May you rest in peace, going to be home, be with the Lord. He turned down a role, or actually was fired. He was doing a daytime show, like one of the soap operas. And he looked at the character, and he asked the producers why they situated in such a way where it's showed in a negative light, and why he had to be in such a way. Long story short, I think the next day or 2 days later, he was let go from the show. And Michael B., who played his arch rival in the Black Panther, actually took the part. But Chadwick Boseman, he would never take a role that was not significant. All his roles, 42, you know, the Black Panther, he played Thurgood Marshall, James Brown. He was intentional in terms of the roles that he would take in pursuit. If you won't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. Right. So, you know, you have to draw the line in the sand and say, what are my non-negotiables? You know, other than that, you're selling yourself for money. You'll do anything. It's like being a prostitute. Because anytime Hollywood would throw you, say, well, do this, you're in front of the camera, you scream, you act a fool, you can be bought. And that's something. I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone that tuned in earlier. We had a oops with the program, that it got interrupted, so we lost quite a few people that was already in the program. Hopefully they came back. I have my brother Paul Randall right here. This brother is amazing.
already know. I've had quite a few people that sit in these seats, and I say they have to come back, and you're one of them that has to come back. We still got time, but I just letting you know I need you back up in here because of the energy and the knowledge and your charisma. Again, I admire that. One of the things that we want to project to all those out there, let's change the way we treat each other. Let's change our image. And don't sell your soul. You know, so when I talk about, even with this program here, this is our outlet. We got different places, but let me tell you something. How many of us are in positions to bring people like yourself on and give us this personal conversation? You know, what I put on there is let's have some 2021 conversation. You know, because we're making change and we're moving forward. Della, how you doing, Della? She said, Brother Rodney, I love you, baby. She's down in Atlanta. I think that's where she's at. And wait a minute, it just dropped. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. And Kevin Johnson says Angela Davis was the name you were looking for. Angela Davis. Okay. And here we got
Angela Bassett.
It was Angela Bassett.
It was Angela Bassett.
It was Angela Bassett.
But Angela Davis is one of our revolutionaries, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then great show tonight. I'm interested in finding out what your guests know about the PPP stimulus for business owners. I didn't receive the first one. I'm hoping to receive the second one. One is hoping that he may have some guidelines, pointers, or what they are looking for this time. From my understanding, this one isn't just for restaurants. It is not for everyone. That's a fact. Is that a fact?
And scroll back to the top to her name. That one I can address. Okay. Pinsetta.
Okay.
Kimbrough. In terms of that, it's not just for restaurants. They actually allocated about, and for those who are listening, the PPP, which is Payroll Protection Program, from the stimulus package. They're actually 4 and maybe 5. That was not just given, it's about 200 and something billion, close to 3 billion. That was 300 billion, I'm sorry, that was set aside for businesses. Small business, sole proprietors, you get like 20,000 and something. It's a grant, and then if you have employees, a W-2, not a 1099, for each person you get 20,000. If it's like a corporation or LLC that you filed as, you can get up to 10 million, believe it or not. And the EIDL, that one is 150,000. The first payment is not due for a year out, and you can, and the interest is about 3%. It's a 30-year loan. The first payment is not due from a year from the time you get it. So those are different ones. You can contact Rodney, contact me, give you my contact information. I can explain more. There's credit on the 150, I think it's a 620 credit score. And then on the other ones, it's not as stringent. But it's been about 7 to 14. They just had a glitch. It was through SBA processing. I can send that out. I send it out to my other business partners. The delay was on them as it were before. And I'm telling those in the African American community, for those who need it to get in it, there are other things you can do afterwards. I can advise you and have my advisors tell you what you can do to actually have it paid back before it's due. The grant is money that's given to you.
Look, she's coming back at you.
Okay, if the employees are W-2s, it's more than that. It's 20,000 per. So they sent the EIDL. I've heard that, but it's normally 150. And we can have another conversation offline. But yeah, if you have 32, we definitely need to have a conversation. Because I have my experts that do it, and they do taxes as well as the credit repair, and to get you where you need to be if that's an issue. But if you have 32, you have a serious corporation, so you definitely need to call me so we can talk extensively. But I want everyone to go out. If you know someone Because what happened last time, and it was told that it was still $300 billion left over from the last time. And so I've been in the mortgage industry over 16 years. So just a backdrop, I'm just stating the facts. The guy who, we were in the room, I think we were in Waldorf, Maryland at the time, and it was a white guy, his mortgage company. And he told us, a room full of black people, said, you know, it's been discrimination in the industry. And he said they would, and I know this personally, and I'll tell you my own personal stories, how they would keep us from getting houses, charge us more interest. I know this person firsthand, having worked in the industry over 16 years. So as a result, even as I look at, you know, last time you had Jay-Z, not Jay-Z, but Kanye getting $1 million, Joel Osteen, different places. But the people who really needed, and Biden said he would focus on that, who really needed didn't get it. I think some of them, or most of them, sent it back, Ruth Chris and many others. But the point is, the small business, they need it more than anyone else. Sole proprietors, they keep this country going, as well as the large companies, and that's not getting it, and not fast as it should. They've made some extra things, extra qualifications, but if you have a business, a small business, you have an EIN number, then, and your business has been in business at least before February 15th of last year, 2020, then you should be able to get these funds. And it's money, even beyond the stimulus, there was money. It's a place called the Foundation Center. You can look it up. If you're a nonprofit, they give money away on a regular. But for you who have a business, definitely call, text, email, whatever you have to do, because there's money out there for you to do different things, and we can show you what to do even after you get it, so you just don't splurge.
Right, and get excited.
Yeah, so but this money is making more money for you. That even by, you know, $150,000, a lot of people say, oh, that's a lot. If you're a business owner, that's not a lot of money. If you're trying to grow your business, you know, people say that's my ministry. No, your ministry is your ministry. Your business is your business. Paul was a tent maker, as it were. Jesus was a carpenter. Their business was their business. Jesus never said, you know, his carpentry was my ministry. No, that wasn't his ministry. I want people, money is money. You know, the Bible says money answers all things. Not necessarily relationships.
Right.
If there's a thing, a bill, a buying, it answers all things. Money is a defense. So when you have a business, the object of your business is to make a profit. A 501c3 can make money. It just can't show a profit. You can have make $10 million a year or a month as a 501c3. Case in point, NASD, which is now FINRA, is a non-profit organization. And they make, I don't know, I want to say billions, but non-profit means just that. You can't make a profit. So if he's on my board of directors and I have other people doing different things, as long as the money goes to each individual or that particular entity, and you don't show a profit, even if it's like $5, $10, but the money went somewhere, that's a non-P-R-O-F-I-T, not a P-R-O-P-H-E-T. But yes.
I tell you, man, this is some really, really good information. Katrina, she said, this is why when you do have money, ask God to guide you.
Always.
Always.
Deuteronomy 8:18, it is he that gives the power to get wealth. So, and even, let's say for example, if you don't, God knows how to direct you. Many of the plans of the righteous, but God determines, you know, their path. So, man make plans, but God determines the outcome.
Yes.
So even if you go off, I remember my elder telling me, as long as they say, Paul, don't worry about it. Just like he had you in other areas, he have you in there. You know, the thing is, for the love of money, don't fall in love with money, because it, once again, is a tool. The love of money is the root of all evil. And someone said, their deadline, there's not a deadline has been given. They're still being processed, the PPPs, as well as the EIDL. So, yes.
Well, hey, this is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, power to things people. My guest today is Mr. Paul Randall. Let me tell you something, God is good. You know, we're going to run over a little bit today because we got interrupted, but it's some other questions that I just wanted to bring back up and some things that I wanted to talk about. And going back to when we was talking about how, I know he was real interested in the money aspect and running the business, but something that's really heavy on my heart is the image that we are portraying to people. And you were talking about that, and when you're going to do your pilot, you're going to do your show,
yes.
it's going to be something real positive
Yes.
for to see us in a positive way.
Yes, yes.
One of the things that I'm wanting people to really, really pay attention to is that the image that we are being portrayed by the media and so many other people, and we are allowing it, is like selling our soul
Right.
for
Right.
that recognition,
Right.
just to be on TV, just
Right.
to be in the public's eye, that we'll let somebody pull our hair out or
Right.
spit on us or throw, and going back. I'm not going to call the name of the program because even though my wife was laughing at me because when I saw the girls was on there fighting and they was going back, she said, look, they done got you hooked. Now this was funny, right? It was the truth. So now I'm looking and saying, okay, who going to try to fight who next, But the bad part about it is that I was feeding into it.
Right.
And I got to now turn away from that.
Right.
And that's our part where we have to do moving forward. So when we see positive things, feed that. Feed the positive.
Right.
But don't feed the negativity.
Right.
See, when y'all do y'all program,
Right.
that thing there, boy, that's going to be powerful. Because I know the type of men you deal
Yes,
with.
yes,
You see?
yes.
So I already know.
Yes.
And I know there's going to be some young brothers
Yes.
going to be coming up and they're going to
Yes.
make some changes.
Yes.
And I'm also, what I really like to also, and the next time you come on, I want you to talk more about
Okay.
when we talk about Wall Street.
Okay. Oh yeah. Right.
And talking about how it was then and the things
Yes.
that we had.
Yes.
We can get back there.
Yes.
That's why what we have to do is when we're going to have to do with the Elks Home, I'm going to consistently bring it back up. We have to step in and we have to do our part and rebuild that place.
Yes.
Man, the history that was in there, I was walking there, I have a third eye.
Okay.
And a lot of people may not understand that, but I can feel the spirits, I can sometimes see them. And I'm going to tell you why I was waiting there. I didn't say this to nobody, didn't even tell my wife, and this is the first time I'm saying it verbally. While I was in there, I felt all the energy of all the people that was in there, and I was feeling crowded a little bit. And it was, for a minute, I was like, man, I know I have to do something to help them rest.
Okay.
I have to do something. Because, if we believe in God, and we believe in life after death,
Yes.
then you know that those spirits of all our ancestors are looking at us and saying, what are y'all doing?
Yeah. Great crowd of witnesses, the Bible talks about. So, what would they say if they would come back?
If they would just,
Just
can
say,
you imagine?
What would our parents, grandparents,
come on.
great-grandparents, look at it, with all what they have struggled,
Yeah.
died, was killed, beaten for, what would they say?
When we walking around acting like we don't care about
Yeah.
each other,
Yeah.
that another black man can't look at another black man and smile and say, how you doing? But, so I wanted to bring this up too. Okay, I'm keeping it real. It's real talk, real talk. It's not about being racial, okay? Because white people go through stuff too.
Right.
They got their struggles.
Exactly.
Everybody has their struggle.
Right.
But when we talk from a black man's perspective.
That's it. And our experience is different than any other race in this country because every other race came here by choice. We came here by force. So
Right.
it's a difference. So the plight of African Americans is like no other because, and the atrocities happen here. Even other countries say it didn't happen there in France during the war, what have you. So there's a big reckoning. So it's hard for a white person or European, whatever you want to call them, to say how we should feel and how we should move on. What happened, let's say, to my grandparents or grandparents years ago that caused them not to have does affect us. What happened in Black Wall Street affects this generation.
Right now.
So to say, get over it, you can't say that.
Right.
You can't. That's like someone being abused and you tell them to get over it.
A woman,
right. So
a woman being raped.
Right. Exactly.
How you expect her to get over
You
it
can't say that.
when you can't say that,
Yes.
or a man
Right.
or a child being
Right.
abused.
Right.
You can't get over it.
Right.
Gerald asked you a question there. Gerald, he wanted the qualifications for the PPP money are those availability based on your credit.
On the EIDL, the PPP doesn't have such strong requirements, so the answer to that, not necessarily. I just say if you have an EIN number, all they can say is no.
Yeah.
So you'll miss out but not trying. Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Well, the other thing that, so I'm going to try to stir you up and get some your input on as well. Okay, so when people are trying to move forward and build and build and build, how do we go about to get people to change from being negative to going to positive, to build and help each
That's
other?
a good question. Here's how I like to deal with people, and it's been my experience, and I would talk with God often, how to deal with people. Even for myself, I'm always a work in progress, so it's not like, as my namesake Paul said, not as though I've already attained, but I press towards the mark. And I challenge myself. What I do when I look at a person, let's say they're on drugs or whatever, if they're talking negative, I use the school scenario. In other words, you're in the first grade, right? You're using the first grade for how long? 12 months. So I usually allow a person a year to change. So if they're doing whatever, or they have this negative, you can tell them, I told them, it takes time to change. Some things you change overnight, depending on how serious and how traumatic it might have been for you. But I allow a person, I'll say, well, this time next year, let's see where. So you begin to make steps towards change. So if people who talk negative, what I try to do is be that role model. You will find nothing on Instagram, Facebook. I don't comment negative to anyone. Someone may say something on my page or whatever. I'll come back. If we're talking about something like that I disagree with, that's different. And I always try to leave out with a smiling face because we're having a discussion. I'm not attacking that person's person. They may believe in something different. The person might be a Democrat, Republican, Independent. That's their choice. The person might be Catholic, Buddhist, Christian. That's their choice. All you can do is give them what you have and what you believe, and you leave it at that. But that person's still a human being. You treat them accordingly. And that's what Jesus would do, Yeshua, Yahweh, Elohim, whatever you want to call him. That's what he would do. So, being human, loving, respecting one another. These two, I love they should do a marriage show because I love the way they do marriage. I've known them for years, and they have an excellent marriage. I just watch them how they compliment each other. So that in itself, to me, just watching it, they never taught, but you're teaching every day in your daily life. Whatever you're doing, somebody's watching.
Yeah.
The song back in the day, why do I feel like somebody's watching me? Yeah. So, you're being watched by someone somewhere. So you want to, as much as possible, even when you're in your car, somebody, cuss in front of you, and I know that's one of the difficult things, and just take a moment, and just this is how I deal with it. I say, who have I cut in front of? Who have I not been kind to in traffic? And that brings you down to say, okay, I'm just as guilty.
And so and speak on that, let me tell you, so one day that I was riding, and my wife always, she gets on me about that, because sometimes I can get a little aggressive trying to get somewhere. And so I'm riding, and this car that was in front of me was moving kind of slow. I'm getting ready to tell this story, and I hope that they're not on here listening, because it was one of my neighbors. I was cussing and calling the person's name. They need to get out the way. And I'm trying to get home, and with all this little negativity that I was giving off because of the way they was going, right? And then when this was funny, when they turned the corner, I could see who it was, and I realized it was one of the person. It was somebody that I really have a lot of respect for and love, right? But I was calling them all kind of names coming up there. So see, sometimes when you was talking about one, you need to watch your energy and think about before you act. And you got to realize that you want to treat people the way you want to
be treated. Have them do it to you.
So, my wife always say to me, she'll say, Rodney, what's going to happen when you get old? When I'm talking about, oh, look at that old person. They're driving slow. Well, somebody's going to say that to me.
Yeah.
One day, if God's willing, if I reach that older age. But I want to tell everybody, I appreciate everybody that joined in this Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. People to people, power to power, positive thing of people. We're going to run over a little bit today because this brother here is just not somebody I can just let get up out of here. The program got interrupted a little bit, and I know we lost a lot of people, but y'all should have came back. The ones that did, you see that this brother here has got some real good information for you, and the ones that didn't, so be it. We send peace and blessings to you as well. But God is good. But what we want to do is continue to move forward. And she pointed out, she says, continue to say, get more involved in learning about stocks as well. Buy land. It's God's will for us to be wealthy, not poor. And I believe that 1%. 100%. I don't think nobody. God didn't put nobody on this earth to be starving or run around, and not feel like they not worthy to be praised.
Yeah. When you go back to the garden, we had everything. We wanted for nothing. And anytime he, like when he did the miracle with the fish, the nets broke. So he filled it to capacity. Anytime he did something, it was the woman with when they did the wine, and the list goes on. I totally agree. He says, "Occupy till I come." The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, and that's just not for you to consume on yourself. He's going to bless you that you might be a blessing. There's in terms of the gleaning of the fields. So that's your excess. So you let those who are less fortunate, if they're working, they're gleaning. That was a gleaning law too. So stocks, bonds, I would tell people get involved with Forex and Bitcoin. And with that, you can do this you can access it on your phone if you have Cash App. It has where you can go over to this little squiggly line and buy Bitcoin for those who have the means, and just you begin to play. You can see real time things that happen. Start with like 100, something you can dispose of. Thousands, use a good number. Just watch it, and you're learning. But one of my I call my mother. She took $1,500 left in Bitcoin in August of last year. January she had 15,000. Okay. Forex, I could talk all day. I have friends, business partners, been trading over 20 years. Use example, my goddaughter, she took 47 cents, turned to like $10 in a couple of hours or whatever. Another day it was $52, turned to, she did gold, 3,500 in a day. So that was not normal. Another guy, he's in Southeast DC. Everybody knows Southeast, Southeast. We call him Crypto Dinero because he likes to deal with cryptocurrency. This is not typical, but he took $300, went up to 10,000, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 cashed out. So that, that's where you're just risk involved in anything, starting a business, real estate, et cetera, et cetera. You don't risk more than 20% of whatever you have disposable income. But the banks trade with Forex. So the bank will take your, for example, 100,000, and at the end of the year they say we're only going to give you 1%. What's 1% of 100,000? 10% is 10,000. So 1%, you're talking 1,000. So they've had my money for 12 months, and all they give you is 1, and probably would charge you some fees or whatever. But here's what banks do, and I'm being modest when I say this. They'll take that $100,000 and they will double it in a month. And again, I'm being modest when I say that. It's less time than that, but I'm just going to say a month. But they only give you 1%. Let me give you a scripture that coincides with that, so you would know. The guy with the parable of the talents, the one with the 1, 2, and the 5. The one with the 1 buried it. And remember I told you a talent was worth about $74,000 to $76,000. Imagine burying $76,000. What he said was, he reprimanded him. And here's what he said. The least you could have done, the least, was taken to the bank and got usury, or what we call today interest. So that lets you know, the least place you can put your money for an investment is the bank. That's God's word. That's not Paul Randall. We know it. I know it from my background, dealing with, the mortgages and investments. That right there is the least place you can put your money, is the bank. So an annuity, 4%. If you have a hedge fund, they give you around 10%, 8%, 12% max for the year. That's good. Start your own business. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. There's a game called Cash Flow Quadrant. They have one for teenagers. We did a seminar and a workshop at Howard University called the Financial Literacy Seminar. We played the game, young people. One of my friend's son, who met with Robert Kiyosaki, was at one of his seminars, boot camp, and he came out faster than the adults. But it's a game. It's a game, but it's not a game. You have child support. You have different scenarios. A janitor can come out before a CEO. So it shows you. It really shows you investment styles and what have you. But it's called Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Think and Grow Rich. And with that, you will learn so many different things. when you're playing amongst a group of people, and you will see your invest, and it helps you grow.
And it's almost like training yourself.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly, but on steroids, but it's really real. Just like Monopoly, you had, you buy in Park Place, you go to jail, all that. It has real life events that happen. Like use child support, and other things, car payments, that's in there. And the goal is to get out of the rat race. You want to have assets versus liabilities. Someone just posted, why have a $20,000 purse and you don't have $20,000 in it? If you can't put $20,000 in it, you shouldn't have it. If you're buying a $5,000 purse, you can't put $5,000 in it, you shouldn't have it. Because, and I posted something earlier, your name, you buying someone else's name. What's your name? Who's buying your name?
Right. Come on, bro.
In my name, you should what? Cast out debt. It's a lot in your name.
Katrina. That's for you.
Oh yeah, your EIN number will work for you. Many say God and Jesus are not in politics. It's not true. I agree. Because he says, then the government shall be upon his shoulders. He talks about money. He told them, go pay your taxes. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, render to God as is God. Right. And yes, if you look at the early part, we talked about that in terms of the political process. We spoke in the earlier segment before we got cut off in terms of, Joseph. All these guys were political figures in the Bible. David was a king. And the list goes on in terms of that aspect as well. So we need to be a part of the political process. When the righteous in authority, the city rejoices, but when the wicked rule, the city mourns. So God is involved in every act, because everything, our modern day government comes from the Sanhedrin Council in the Bible. And Jethro told Moses when he was judging the people, this thing is too great for you. So appoint those over tens, over 50s, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Because with that, he imparted his spirit to the leaders. And that's how we get our modern day government, how it's formed, even going back to Rome. It started from there for the most part. We go back to Egypt and talk about that. That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah. What I want to address with some people is something that's so important. We have to start to invest in ourselves, invest in each other, and stop being the crab in a pot syndrome where we are looking at a person feeling like they don't deserve to move forward, and we want to keep each other down. Because when we lift one up, we actually lift in ourselves.
Yes.
And so that is so important. You said the government keeps many in bondage, not me. I fight for disability. Excuse me, getting a little disability, it makes no sense. We have to write and stop talking and let the government hear our voice. I'm connected with financial literacy. I campaign. First of all, and when I tell you that, she does. Katrina is a woman of action, and so I want to, because it's something that we're working on together. That this young lady was on a panel with me, and then she gave me a phone call today, and she's a woman that she wants to see things happen. She prophesies right in here some things that was going to happen for the program, and they are taking place. And that's because of her spirit and her belief in the word and how she puts back into, the community as well. Of course, we run over time. This is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. My guest here is Mr. Paul Randall. We are going to, before he leaves here, we're going to check the schedule book because you need to come back. You are very, very powerful. Your information, your deliverance is on point. And I feel bad that something happened that disrupted the program. This is an opportunity for us to learn change. I'm going to read a couple of things here. And some of these I wrote myself. It says, we must become the change to be the change. We must live the change so that the change will live. I wrote that. And I thought about that because if we start to make the change, we'll be able to look in the mirror at ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
So we look at ourselves and we will start to say, you know what, this is what I've done to move forward, to make the change, And this is why I can see other people moving forward in a positive way, because we are living the change and we're doing it every day. I wanted to. It says, if
that
you
reminds me real quick while ago. Barack Obama says, "You are the you've been waiting for. You are the you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
You be the change.
You be the change.
You be the change."
And that's we have to know that it is so imperative that we as a people, and I'm not talking just black people, I'm talking about people in general, that if we're talking about our future, we don't want all our kids growing up with this mentality that they don't have no respect for nobody or life. We got to get it so that they have that in them. I am preparing to fly into DC tomorrow. I apologize, I lost signal for a while. Forgive me. Thank you for your insight and wisdom, and you are appreciated. Thank you. I'll be in touch once I arrive.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I am so excited for all the individuals who get something out of the program. We have been networking, and people are watching from all over. This brother here, I'm going to be doing another work with him. So I'm excited about that. I am so much wanting to be a part of that pilot that y'all are going to be doing.
Yes. You will be.
Yeah, and so what I'm asking everybody to do is to continue to keep us in prayer and stay positive. Yeah. And remember, you know something? If you having any problems in any situation, all you got to do is let go and let God. And not try to take on and try to fix something that you have no control over. You know, a lot of times we stress over unnecessary things of that nature. So we just let go and let God and just be a support for one another. Remember, I'm asking everybody to, if you are from the Old Town Alexandria area, we need some support for the Elks Lodge, that we want to see this place come back to life. And me and my wife Zena are going to make sure that we are going to do our part, and we're going to start Saturday. We should definitely be down there no later than 12 noon. We might get there a little earlier, but I know we should be there no later than 12 noon to start the process of our commitment. It's 227 North Henry Street, Alexandria, Virginia. We're asking for carpenters, plumbers. If you're a painter, you're a gardener, I don't care, whatever you can contribute. We need furniture. We need funds. We need everything to put this building back where it should be, because this is our history. My wife is pointing to me. She says, "Please tell the truth and teach us all." And everybody don't have to know what you have. Paul, are you willing to teach on conference calls? Education is needed.
Yes.
I can answer that for him. Yes. Hey, Paul is he's an amazing man. I ain't gonna let y'all steal him from me, man. I'm gonna tell y'all, because I gotta utilize this brother here. No, I'm just joking. Please, everybody, this man, everybody that we bring on, this is our opportunity to show you that we got some positive thinking people in our arena. Yes. And so that is so powerful. So as you see that I had the picture up here, we getting ready to shut it down. It's the Elks Lodge that we are asking for donations. We need a commercial stove, and for the kitchen. We need everything, and anything that you got new that you don't want, let us know, and if we have to come and pick it up, we'll do so. We're going to be having a fundraiser put together, so that we're going to also be trying to get money for this project. Again, my wife and I are going to go down Saturday and start our project. We're going to lead by example, and we just thank everybody. Paul, you again are an amazing brother, man. I appreciate you. Your knowledge, man. I mean, every time I'm around you, I get just filled with everything that you know, and I don't even know how. You should be a millionaire, but you really are. You're a millionaire of knowledge.
Amen.
You know, that's real. Because I all the time see it's not that you have to have a lot of money to be happy and walking around with it. You know something, I love what you said when you was talking about don't have a $20,000 purse and you ain't got $20,000 to put in it.
You don't have to. I mean, it makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
We got to get to that point where we understand. Let me tell you what happens with us in this country. And I'm talking about us from a black man's perspective. We always want to impress people, right?
Yes.
And we'll walk around, and I remember I had Harold Harris on, and he said, you know how many dressed up trash cans we have walking around?
Aha! I like that.
He said, how many dressed up trash cans? Meaning, you know, we got so many people walking around portraying one thing when, you know, it's a whole lot of garbage inside of them.
Wow.
Come on, that was powerful.
I just want to say, I got just a second to speak on it. That's so important. It's not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. Because when we go to buy an apple or get an orange, as it were, we don't eat the shell. It looks nice, but it's what's on the inside that really was mixed. So what's on the inside of me? You know, not so much the Louis Vuitton, doing the challenges, but you can have, and oftentimes you can see a beautiful woman, but then, or man, and then when you meet them, it's nothing inside. Because it's like having a nice car, it looks great, but it runs terrible. Right. Or it doesn't run at all, it could be a car that doesn't work, but the outside looks great, but then the inside is terrible. So if we need to work, we need to spend more time working on our inner selves. Because when we were children, we didn't care. We would sit down, we would play with each other. We didn't care what you, in terms of that, it was about that person. So for some reason, we've gotten off base, and I know because of slavery and how we've been treated, because for men, for a long time, African American men, to get that Cadillac was a thing. So other cultures don't understand that, and now in 2021, we beyond that. We should just be content in knowing that, okay, I provided for my family, helping my community, let's move forward. It's not in these things, you know. You don't want the things to be what you're really going after, because these are inanimate objects. Right. But it's this person beside me that's who I care about the most, because they're a living, breathing soul. What can you put, what type of price tag, rather, can you put on a human's life?
And you can't put any.
Beyond anything that you can do, never forget the person in front of you, never forget to spend time and to acknowledge the person in front of you. We are so busy doing business that we forgot about the person that sits beside us and in front of us in our own house. We're so concerned with things. We forgot that in the end, it's the human beings. And that's why Jesus says, suffer the little children to come to him and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven.
Let me show you, again, so I was just with you a few days ago, and I'm going to show you how you inspired me. And this is funny. So Paul, every time he talks to me, he's always about something about business or whatever. So he was like, okay, you still shooting pictures and stuff? And I was like, yeah. And I'm going to talk, this is where we talk about preparation. We're talking about paying attention to detail, about being on top of your game, and pay attention to these things. So let me show you what you did for me, right? So he's talking to me about a project, and I immediately said, yeah, I'm still shooting, and I was talking about my website, right? And I was so embarrassed, because what happened was, I was like, man, I ain't seen Paul in a while, and he's asking me about this. Yeah, so let him see that I'm handling, I'm on top of my game. And we tried to put my website up, and come to find out that the contract of the website had ran out, and I couldn't get it up. And I'm standing there, and then I had to call my son in New York. And I'm going to tell you that my son also called and read me my rights later on. Now, the purpose for me sharing this story is this, is that we have to be adamant about moving forward in a positive way, and also be responsible for moving forward. Yes. And that's where I had fell short myself, because I didn't check my website when my son told me. He said, after that happened, he said, Dad, you should look at it every day. Yeah. If it's just for 1 second, you should check it every day. My son got on me about that. And so I want to tell you, thank you also that you didn't hold that against me.
No, that happened. That's the thing, I like you paid her for a year so that can happen. Yeah. So, that was just a moment, so, you can recognize that it needs to be done. So that's like divine intervention. Yeah. You could be in front of someone big and like...
But you are big to me. So I mean, you always doing things. You always encourage me. So that meant a lot to me. So the website is back up. That's why I couldn't wait to call you. And I had to owe it. I owe it to my wife because even my son and I, we couldn't get it back up. Right? My wife sat around and that night she just told me, "Move, get out the seat." She got out of the seat, and the next thing I know, my wife had somebody on the phone, and we got it back up. Okay. Now my point I wanted to make is this: because you encourage me, you push me.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do.
Yes. And
so, we want to take that opportunity to tell you that we're pushing you. Katrina says, many got to have name brand and house a mess. Yes. Let us get it together. Yes. We have to get it together. We have to move forward. We have to stay focused. And I said we was going to run a little over, so I'm still, because I cannot let this man go without just getting ready. So we're going to go to 8:30. We got 7 minutes, so I just want you to talk some more. I can't sit here and not get some more knowledge from you. So what would you suggest for some of the black males that are trying to change their habits and to get into a positive?
Oh, that's good. One thing, and I'm glad you asked that question, and we segue into this. For those who are trying to break like a negative habit, it's been my experience in terms of fasting. For one, if you're able to turn down the very thing you need to survive, you can do anything. So a fast, be it liquid fast, or you can do, if you haven't fasted before, just vegetables. What that does, it puts you in focus, and you dedicate a time to pray, because God is involved with your life. He's always, you may think you've done so bad. You cannot sin enough for God. The worst of sinners, whatever, everybody has, and I try to look at people, everyone has redemptive qualities. Donald Trump, Adolf Hitler, everyone has an opportunity to do good. It's in them, and whether it comes out or not, it's up to them, but everyone has redemptive qualities. Don't erase the person you think least will be the one who you think. And a lot of times when business, we'll think this person's getting a contract or this person's going to do the deal. It's usually not. For those who in business who experience this, it's the other person. It could be he's sitting on the sidelines and he's the one who enters into the contract with the deal. So I don't like to write people off. If God hasn't written them off, I don't have a right, because I don't know what's in man's heart. God does. Right. And I don't know what may cause that person to change. We all are born at different times. Somebody was born in 1950, somebody was born in 1960, etc. We all come to Christ at different times. Everybody's been born at different times. So I don't know when this person's going to come around. But I can keep hope and faith and praying for that person to hope. It's better to hope negative, thinking negative, anger, those attributes brings you lower versus the positive. Right. So it's always better to look at the glass half full than half empty.
Come on now.
Because it's going to, if you can choose, you have a choice to do right. You can choose to yell at the person who cut you off and say, you know, God, I've done that many times myself. Well, God bless her. I have a friend, her favorite thing, I don't care what goes on, she would always say, God bless her. And so if you get that into your dialect or whatever, it changes you. Because now, if you don't, you become angry, now you're negative, now you're angry at the next person possibly, and it starts a chain reaction. But fasting helps in terms of drugs as well. If you ever do a fast, a day to 3 days, I really, even 7 days, it kills, because now your body is hungry for food, so the desire for that thing goes away, be it sex or whatever. That fasting, because now the body is trying to live. And fasting is good even for cancer. Dr. Sabi did it for 30 days or 40 days. Not saying you should do that if you haven't done it before, but that fasting, what it does on a physical level, it kills off the weakest cells first. So if you got cancer, what happens? The body is hungry, no more food. So it starts pulling off like the weakest link. So it grabs onto the easiest thing, and so it starts to kill off those diseases. We're so consumed, and our food has so many chemicals. And if you get an opportunity, go to YouTube and look up a video called What the Health. H-E-A-L-T-H, What the Health. It exposes the big corporations, McDonald's, the list goes on, what they're putting in the foods and what they're doing. So with that, if you change your diet, and then cook food, I guess people are cooking more now because of the pandemic. That's one of the good things that happen. You feel better, the vegetables, and you can still eat meat. Not saying not to eat meat, but you change your habits and change a lot of the the foods that you're choosing off the shelf. If it has a shelf life, or food that expires quickly like fruits and vegetables, those things are good. But if something stays on the shelf for a long time, it can't be that good for it, because one, it has a lot of sodium in it. Because that's a preservative, because back in the day they used salt before we had refrigerators. But when you have all those preservatives, if something stays on the shelf, even the drinks people drink, I'm like, no, that's not. If it's not naturally in a cold environment and has like an expiration date,
Yeah.
what do you think your body's going to feel like? When you take in, for example, if you take grease or something like that, when it gets cold, it gets hard, like lard we had back in the day. That's what it does in your system, so it stops your blood from pumping. So a lot of our problems are right here.
In the stomach.
Right, because it has to go. We don't expel, so every time you eat, you should go to the bathroom within an hour if you eat.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're constantly, a lot of people say, I'm fine, I go every morning, but if you eat throughout the day, three times.
She said, Penny Fraser says, do you know how to get rid of mucus?
Mucus, yeah, a lot of our food have mucus. Here's what I add to your diet, it really helps. Garlic, not eat it straight, like,
Me
try to
too.
listen. It's equivalent, they did a study, I think, in the medical facility here in Bethesda, anyway, years ago. It's equivalent to Russian penicillin, the pepsin that's in garlic. And the smell, parsley or coffee grounds. So just buy you some parsley, chew it before and after. But I take a piece of garlic, like a garlic clove, and I would chew on it before when I get up in the morning from going out, and I would chase it with juice. You know, you might want water juice. And then once again, the mucus comes from a lot of things we eat. You can tell your body talks to you. When you get a cough, if a person coughs, that's mucus on the inside. You shouldn't naturally be coughing all the time. And that can be remedied. Just the stuff that's on your shelf, oil of oregano, that's a key component. The cures that it deals with, I sent Rodney an article that it dealt with COVID as well, and mixed with cumin, cinnamon, XYZ. God put everything in the earth, herbs for the healing. So herbs are the natural thing. You can still eat your meat. I'm not saying cut that out. It's up to you. You know, it tells you not to eat, swine and things like that, because they are bottom feeders. Pigs eat anything. So if you eat them, you're eating what they're eating, the pesticides and things like that. That I would say, the mucus, you can change that by what you're eating and change that.
Katrina said, Paul, do you believe anybody can save money and make investment? I believe this because it happened in my life. I prayed over all funds. Years ago, I only had pennies to put in the basket, and I was laughed at, but God.
Yeah.
Katrina, she also says, I eat garlic every day.
Garlic, garlic, and I'm going to answer that. Garlic, ginger, I keep those in there. And sea moss, I have a buddy, he makes the drinks in different flavors. And turmeric, those things, just in terms of every day, just take it in the morning, in the evening. You take it more than once. You keep your system, that in case if you do eat something bad.
Yeah, brother is speaking the truth about the SAD means that standard American diet.
Yeah, Rachel Pope.
Yeah, that's Zena's best friend. That's
Okay.
that's the godmother of the program. Awesome show and good information. Brenda said, enjoyed your humble spirit. God bless you, Paul. Sugar Britches, she said, his spirit is grateful, so humble and kind. I am enjoying just listening and learning. Thank y'all. God is so good. Hey, it's Real Talk Live. It's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. And it is time for us to go. And Paul is going to have the last word. But I'm asking everybody, remember, you saw I got the picture up here. This is 227 North Henry Street, Old Town Alexandria. Zena and I will be there this Saturday. If some people want to come down and try to help, then come on and just show up. We're asking you to come and put your 2 cents in, your 10 cents, your 100 cents, your $100, your $1,000, your $1 million. We're asking for your blessing and for your support. And again, I am going to specifically talk to Paul to come back and have you to educate us some more, my brother. because you're a powerful brother, man.
Thank you. So
I
are you.
appreciate it. It's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, positive people, and Paul is going to take us out, so you can tell them whatever you want to tell them.
I thank everyone for listening. Thank you for sharing your time, your life with me. You could be doing anything tonight. Thank Rodney, his wife, Cena. Always glad to be in their presence. And to answer the question, I think it was Katrina that asked about the money. Yeah, the little that you had, God will take what you have and multiply it. And just like the parable of the town, they took what they had and he doubled it. So when you put him in your money, you know, God will be in your business because he'll multiply you more times than not. Yeah, sow a seed in good grounds. Yes, there's different grounds, so different place to put it. Diversify multiple streams of income and manage your time so you're not spread out. You know, you focus on one thing, to be good at doing one thing, great. And whatever you do, 20% that give you the 80%, stay there. So thank everyone for listening. Thank you, Rodney, again. Thank you, Zena, and God bless you and your family.
Man, powerful, powerful, bro. You are amazing, man. God is good, man.